Thursday night at the Gabba, it was the Brisbane Lions and Collingwood in grand final rematch, and desperation stakes for both of these sides for obvious reasons.
Have a look at that first tackle from Darcy Moore. So, start of the game, you knew Collingwood were on. It was a different way they defended. He was intense around the football, Darcy Moore. He hasn't been the first few weeks. 86 tackles to 53, and there was times where 2 and 3 players tackled. They set themselves as 16-9 inside 50 tackles, and I just thought they out-hunted the Brisbane Lions around the football. They were tougher, they were harder, and in the end, those sort of tackles won them the game.
Yeah, I just want to speak to you, Lordo, about Craig McRae's body language, because we touched on it in week 1. He was looking frustrated, but you thought he was far more engaged on the bench.
Absolutely, yeah. Seeing Craig early in the game, I think he felt thank you. Because you start to worry as a premiership coach.
He's giving it these ones.
Yeah, fist pumps and celebrating. And speaking to some players from Collingwood, they said it's amazing how all our offence came off the back of our defence. And so they've got the formula back. They got Hawthorn next week. So, yeah, it's the start of a good things for Collingwood.
And one thing you urged him to do was put Nick Dacos back to half-back. So he started there and it probably worked, don't you think? Do you think he's got to stay there for the majority of the year?
Absolutely. I think his disposals, he was going backwards. You know, he wasn't taking the game forward. He was just handballing, whereas now he's back into space. He's sort of back to being the best 2 or 3 players on the ground in my votes on the weekend. So I think we do it all the time. It's like Tom Stewart. There was a few games where they tried to throw Tom Stewart into the midfield. Some players are just unbelievable off halfback. And that's where he should be left.
They've got a big issue with their key forwards, the Brisbane Lions. I said last year they can't win the premiership with Hipwood and Danaher. They got close, but Hipwood hasn't played a good game for about 7 games in a row. So I just wonder how many poor games you get before you actually lose the place in the side. Now, Brisbane will say he does other stuff off the ball and his defensive work is good, but their forward line was dysfunctional. Joe had a poor night, but he's got a few more credits than Eric Hipwood. You can't be dropping that, and how deflating it was early in the game.
I feel like they compete enough, those two.
When
things are going against them, there's players in the AFL with probably less talent, like a Noah Bolter. You know what you're going to get every time the ball goes in. He's going to do everything he possibly can. Do those two guys give you everything every time the ball's in the air?
I think when you're walking down the tunnel, when the game's about to start and you're entering the arena, the best feeling is to look over your shoulder right and left, and the best teams have it. I can trust you today, and I can trust you. I know what you're going to deliver, and it's not going to be best on ground every week, but when you're there, you compete. So to answer your question, I don't think those two could say that.
Damo, can I ask you a question? There's been quite a bit of coverage about the end-of-season trip that the Brisbane Lions undertook in Las Vegas. Obviously, something has happened over there. Is it having a detrimental effect on their on-field performance?
Sam McClure broke this story the other day, and yes, it is to a point. To what point, we don't know. And just to recap as quickly as we can, the communications of that travelling group was seen by people back in Brisbane, and obviously then that information was distributed amongst that group. It has affected personal relationships, it has affected teammate relationships, but it's the great unknown question, TJ. Brisbane Lions are telling us it is not affecting the club performing, despite the 0-3 scoreline coming off a grand final win. You guys, Lordo, you played the flag. You know what, and so too you, Kane. You know you need everything to go right, don't you, when you are trying to have a flag push?
Yeah, they are so hard to win, and this is the last thing you need in an off-season. And they can say that it's not affecting on-field performance, but I'm not sure they truly know when you're dealing with players and their emotions. And home life is just critical. So often when players are going off the rails or not going well, you ask questions and you dig deep enough, and often things at home aren't going well, and then you spiral out of control on the field, or you're not performing on the field. And so it sort of certainly wouldn't be helping their form.
So it wasn't helped by the fact that some WhatsApp group messages were uploaded to the cloud.
Yeah, there was a live WhatsApp account of what was going on overseas in the States, and it was obviously an iCloud arrangement, and that was seen by the person and then distributed. The information was then distributed amongst the wider group, as you would naturally expect under those circumstances.
Do you think Brisbane will come out as a club and address it this week?
I feel they need to now, Lordo. Yeah, I mean, Greg Swan has made some small comments. There's been also comments made of an unofficial nature, but to me, the story has now got to the point where I feel they need to address it as best they can. I don't claim it's going to be easy, and I'm always cognizant of how much off-field is affecting on-field, but it's out there now and it's not going to go away unless they convince us that it is not an issue.